Ghanaian Times is reporting from the President Nana Addo Dankwa. Now, TUC calls for Public Sector Salaries Commission to advise government. Yesterday, we spoke to Bobochi. They are very serious about this. 4%. I mean, when he did his calculations, like they get, was it 40 cedis
now,
extra?
So, Abna, when the announcement was made after the tripartite committee met, and they said they were going to increase salaries by 4%, workers were not really making the noise today. I'm using noise advisedly. Yesterday, NAT was at the event. NAGRAT was at the event. Concerned Teachers Association was there. And when the man you spoke to narrated his sentiments, I got the impression that the growing agitation is over lack of confidence in the leadership of TUC.
Exactly.
And so for TUC to say, oh, what we did, for the Secretary General, Dr. Yaban, is saying that what they managed to get, the 4%, was the best. So, and effort and the 4% no crime. I think he has simply failed organized labor. The pressure should be on them to resign, or they should vote them out, because they cannot ride on the sentiment and make it look like we are concerned per the headline you have raised. They have simply failed. And it is not about salaries alone. Across various sectors, a lot of things are going wrong in this country, and TUC simply is not speaking. And it doesn't reflect the TUC I knew, let's say, 30 years ago. Yeah,
these days, everything is in shambles. Anyways, now government earmarks $25 million seed money for establishment of the National Vaccine Institute. Yeah, I actually did hear a group of people talking about this. As soon as they read the headlines, we don't have confidence in ourselves. We don't even believe that we can do this and do it well. And that is another problem that we will be facing. Made in Ghana goods. Because they've started saying it already. No. So they have to do some proper PR on this.
No, it's about the way people appreciate what we do. Many of the drugs we buy on the shelves were made in Ghana. A lot of things are made in Ghana. Those who can afford are the most likely to call for others. I believe that Ghana has the appropriate institutions to ensure, because no government will see. And it created that impression last week. And you know, yesterday the NDC punched gaping holes. And that has been corroborated by a lot of experts. And so you see the headlines flowery, using the issues to make it look like, oh, Enoma Ekoye. The truth is, Enoma Ekoye. I want you to listen to Kaisel Atoforsen. Just understand him and verify. There are lots that we have put together that can be traced and tracked to the Bank of Ghana, its own report, and you will understand where we are. And if you don't speak now, I believe that our generation will have problems. Listen to Atoforsen.
It's important for members to recognize the fact that Ghana's public debt as at April is indeed 332.4 billion Ghana cedis. In the first quarter of the year 2021, the MPP administration has added 27 billion Ghana cedis to our public debt. This means that obviously they have approximately 48 months from the time they took office to go. And they've done 3 months, and obviously that has accumulated 27 billion. But sadly, if you were to analyze where we are going, Ghana's public debt by the end of the year 2024 will be 624 billion Ghana cedis. Ghana's public debt as at April is indeed 332.4 billion Ghana cedis. In the first quarter of the year 2021, the MPP administration has added 27 billion Ghana cedis to our public debt. This means that obviously they have approximately 48 months from the time they took office to go. And they've done 3 months, and obviously that has accumulated 27 billion. But sadly, if you were to analyze where we are going, Ghana's public debt by the end of the year 2024 will be 624 billion Ghana cedis. So, Chairman, it is not in dispute that the Ghanaian economy is in its worst shape. In fact, in recent memory, this obviously has resulted in an intense hardships arising from mounting taxes and rampant increases in prices of goods and services. That obviously has led to an elevated cost of living. In fact, the main causes of current hardships are the twin problems of the largest budget deficit, the mother of all fiscal deficit of 15.2% of GDP in recent history, and a choking debt overhang that threatens the stability of the Ghanaian economy. Sadly, instead of confronting the problems head-on, attempts have been made by the President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government to shift the blame to the COVID-19 pandemic. But I will demonstrate shortly through a data-based presentation that the hardships that we face arising out of the largest fiscal deficit in recent history and the debt situation that we face is a direct result of mismanagement and obviously misplaced populism, as we've seen in the last couple of years. Evidence points to the fact that if the status quo remained the same, Ghana's public debt will be 85% of GDP.
And so that's Xyz Morning. Later on this program, I'm sure after 7:45, when our guests come, we'll be delving into these. We'll be hearing a lot of the critical concerns they have heard, and then we speak to experts. But there are some infographics I want to share with you quickly, as packaged by Atoforson's team, the minority in Parliament. So I want us to share some of these infographics. And the first one is very, very clear. And if you read from the screen, you would realize that these are very, very worrying trends. And it talks about, I don't know if you can read.
Yeah, so saying that comparing the debt sustainability indicators in 2020 to those in 2001, when Ghana was declared HIPC, it is clear that 2020 indicators are worse than those of 2001, even though Ghana has not been declared HIPC by the Bretton Woods institution. The debt sustainability indicators clearly show that Ghana is a heavily indebted poor country.
So that's Dr. Xyz Morning.
Yeah.
And you'd notice that the other one talks about Ghana's public debt to tax ratio, which has increased to 495.78%. But this talks about debt sustainability.
Yeah.
Can you read along?
Yeah, so it says that the IMF debt sustainability analysis in 2019 puts Ghana at high risk of debt distress. This was before COVID-19. The situation worsened by the end of 2020. With the planned borrowings in 2021, the situation is likely to deteriorate further. And
now the other infographic that will follow, I guess, is Ghana's outstanding Eurobond, which is about 13.2 billion cedis, $13.2 billion, and that is the third largest. And it goes ahead to talk about the fact that Ghana's outstanding Eurobond as a percentage of its GDP is 17.8%, the highest. These show that Ghana is in a high level of debt distress. I'm going to read the last one, and then we will call for Wisdom's news. And then when we come back, I'm sure you will have time to read much more.
I'm sure. So it says, despite having the largest debt accumulation, the Akufo-Addo government has the least capital expenditure as a percentage of GDP. Now, by the end of December 2020, average capital expenditure by the Akufo-Addo government was 2.23% of GDP, compared with 3.83% under Mahama. Now, the gap between recurrent and capital expenditure to GDP ratios started widening in 2017, got bigger in 2019 before COVID, and worsened in 2020.
So later, we'll be sharing more, and I don't know your own opinion. What is your own assessment? Association of Ghana Industries are speaking ahead of the presentation of the mid-year budget review. I'm sure you've heard of the concerns raised by the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Now, if workers, for example, are going to sustain the pressure and government would have to look for money to pay them additional income, i.e. just adjust the 4% base pay a little upwards, then it means that there will be a lot of pressure on the public purse. That would mean government would have to go and borrow more. And once borrowing comes in, even if it is internal from the local financial institutions, that burden will be on the banks. It will be extended to you and I, a businessman who wants to go to the same space to compete with government. These details will inform part of the conversation. Abraham,
Yes.
What would you have to say before wisdom comes?
Before wisdom comes, as always, I would like to tell you that this show is brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water. I would distribute here, Mr. Numbers near 0540-585-599 and I said 0243-249-245. Also, do not forget to follow us on our social media handles. It's TV XYZ Ghana. When you send a comment, do not forget to hashtag XYZ Morning Updates. My personal one, of course, is Nana_Abna_Sewa. See you soon. Wisdom is taking over now.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always brave, fresh, natural, X, mineral, water.
Still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
AutoChecks.
Ghana is then broke. Debt levels increasingly unsustainable and a major threat to the population and future government. Strong deductions by the minority on its maiden policy dialogue on the economy. Details coming up. Total disregard for COVID-19 safety protocols in spite of President's renewed directive raising serious concerns. And a little later, University of Ghana appoint first female vice chancellor. We have details of these and other stories coming up. My name is Wisdom Hedejame. Grateful that you could join us. Let's begin the story from the economy. And the minority in parliament has painted a gloomy picture about the economy, warning of dire consequences. Now, in its strong opinion, Ghana risks defaulting in debt payment without relief packages. Now, ranking member on Parliament Finance Committee described as worrying the sharp rise of public debt to GDP and revenue ratio from 381.92% at the end of 2016 to 540.99% at the end of 2020. According to Dr. Xyz Morning, who is also a former Deputy Finance Minister, Ghana's total public debt was more than 5 times its domestic revenue.
The policy dialogue, according to Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, forms part of planned initiative outlined to critique government policies on sector-by-sector basis, highlight gaping holes, threats to businesses, and the investment community and policy alternatives for national discourse. The maiden initiative, held at the University of Professional Studies, Accra, brought together MPs, CSOs, the academia, former appointees, students, and other interest groups. Also in attendance was NDC General Secretary Johnson Esiedu Inketia, other key members of the party, and Deputy Finance Minister John Kumar. The main speaker, Xyz Morning, a former Deputy Finance Minister, in his open remark summarized the current debt to GDP ratio as the worst in Ghana's history. He noted with concern a whopping 27 billion borrowed within the first 3 months of 2021, bringing total national debt to over 332 billion cedis.
Ghana's public debt as at April is indeed 332.4 billion Ghana cedis. In the first quarter of the year 2021, the MPP administration has added 27 billion Ghana cedis to our public debt. This means that obviously they have approximately 48 months from the time they took office to go. And they've done 3 months, and obviously that has accumulated 27 billion. But sadly, if you were to analyze where we are going, Ghana's public debt by the end of the year 2024 will be 624 billion Ghana cedis.
Mr. Forson described the associated impact if the borrowing spree continues without capital investment could crash the economy sooner than later. He said, as it stands, Ghana is better off declaring itself a highly indebted poor country, HIPC.
And you can see clearly that before HIPC, this is where we are. We've passed HIPC, where we are. You can see that this is where we are before HIPC. We've passed it already. You can see that this is where we are before HIPC. We have passed it already. And you can see this is where we are, and we've passed it already. You can also see that this is where we are before HIPC, and we are almost there. Colleagues, this is where we are before HIPC, and we've passed it already. Ladies and gentlemen, it is also important for us to understand that debt service to domestic debt ratio, the domestic revenue ratio, this is where we are before HIPC, and we have passed it already. Let no one deceive you that debt to GDP is the only indicator to find out whether you are in a position to repay your debt or not.
Mr. Forson, who is also the ranking on the Finance Committee of Parliament, explained in his presentation that, as responsible legislators who have been in government before, it is a national duty to bring government to order before the economy crashes, a situation that threatens future governments.
Evidence points to the fact that if the status quo remains the same, Ghana's public debt will be 85% of GDP. The issues that we are talking about will deteriorate. Ghana will not be attractive to the bond market. We will not be attractive even to the domestic market. The cost of paying our debt, even with term loans, will deteriorate. We'll use a chunk of our tax revenue to repay our debt. And this will not be good for our country.
Well, let's still stay a little longer on the policy dialogue on the economy, which punched holes in what they describe as false assertions that the economy is resilient and growing faster in the post-COVID era compared to other countries within the sub-region. This report captures other speakers at the event. Government has often touted the path of economic recovery and structural transformation as on course and making Ghana one of the fastest growing economies within the sub-region in this post-COVID era. In March this year, government described the oversubscription of the $3 billion Eurobond as a reflection of confidence in the economy. It proudly said Ghana became the first sub-Saharan African sovereign to issue a bond in US dollars since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. But the minority says that's a red herring compared to available statistics on neighboring countries. Main speaker at the Policy Dialogue on Economy, who also called for a ceiling on borrowing, made some recommendations.
The amount of money we owe, the Euro bond alone, is 13.2 billion US dollars. And it happens to be the third largest among the 20 countries. But you see, it will surprise you also to know that Ghana's outstanding Euro bond as a percentage to GDP is 17.8% of GDP, which is the highest among all the 20 countries. The highest among all the 20 countries. Because you see, and I'll show you the graph here. Look at this. So, Egypt has an outstanding Eurobond of $37.5 billion. Their debt stock, as long as Eurobond is concerned, is $37.5 billion. South Africa has $20.6 billion US dollars. Ghana has $13.2 billion US dollars, and it follows. Ivory Coast 9.4, Nigeria 10.7, and it follows all the way to Seychelles. But let me tell you something. Egypt and South Africa has a bigger economy than that of Ghana. So the ability to carry is certainly different from Ghana's ability. Their tax revenue is certainly bigger than that of Ghana. So it is wrong for you to say that I'm third, so I'm comfortable. Don't be comfortable. Let's compare you outstanding Eurobond as a percentage to GDP. And you'll notice that you are in a very bad position.
Other speakers at the event included Dr. Lord Mensah, Dr. Saint Kutu, are all senior lecturers at the University of Ghana Business School, and other members of academia.
The only way we can break this debt cycle is to increase the tax base. You know, we've been saying this every now and then, but it seems we are unable to do it. Because other than that, we'll continue to grapple with this high debt level. And I will suggest that if, for instance, you don't lack the capacity, why don't you follow academia? Because they have innovative ways of helping the government to increase the tax revenue.
The anatomy of our debt profile in the past years. But then, Honorable Atto, I think you've done very well. I mean, when it comes to the hard numbers that were presented, I was happy with the direction, you know, and the graphs that were presented, and it took me back to basic economics, which seemed to tell us that there was a memory loss. There was a memory loss because if you look at all the graph, let me borrow your slogan. We were here, we ended up here. We were here, we are almost there. We were here, we are almost there. That should tell you that there was a certain memory before HIPIC. And if all the indicators are pointing to those numbers, you should know that, of course, you know, we are heading towards a disaster.
John Jinapo, a former Deputy Energy Minister, is also a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament.
Invest in critical expenditure. The Atuabo gas processing plant gives us a net savings of $350 million per annum in terms of crude oil import substitution. More than 50% of our domestic gas today comes from the Atuabo gas processing plant. We did not get all these revenues, and yet we built the Ridge Hospital, we built the Legon Hospital, we built the whole airport, we built the Tamale Airport, several projects, visible projects that you can see that helps in capital accumulation.
Now, minority of Ghanaians seem unconcerned about the spread of the deadly coronavirus pandemic. Our random checks indicate few are complying with the renewed directive announced by the president on Sunday. On Sunday night, the president reimposed strict observance of safety protocols at funerals and weddings, which are not to last beyond 2 hours. He also issued directive for mandatory wearing of masks at all public gatherings, including social distancing. But TVX Xyz News random checks within the Central Business District of Accra indicate the majority of Ghanaians who went out there cared less. This is Tudu, Okanshi Enclave in Accra, where thousands converge daily to transact businesses. It's yet away from the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, yet there was every indication of law enforcement, and there was no sign of enforcement by the Accra Regional Police Command, whose officers are less than 100 meters away, not the AMA task force. Many our news team tried to engage, declined comment.
For a while, I thought the COVID-19 situation is almost out of the system. So yeah, we should all adhere to the protocol.
But Oko who say a year be and now call a sorry dan be and now call party Obian show no smart. But party ni chum ya no mark say yari or honmo. Sa problem every and penny for no never down. Omotimi the law no share. Say law ni yejuma but omo for law ni yejuma.
Is it and I say on mind no more head kakra. And when the Israelis will be a motia. And when one shall for my
omo free a mama so ban said ya be ya yenso ye woman yenso ye ho beto ya o me meti e me ko ba bia apart from say me ba badwuma eti say yale aba yenso ye hu obi a yale na bi a chi no wa enso omo na omo ko na omo ba eti say sa omo so omo yiro mo so mbe ma bambo ma ye din.
At the Kwame Nkrumah circle, the situation was the same. People were going about their normal duties. Commuters crisscrossed, and there was no indication of a pandemic spreading fast. At the new plant station, the GPRTU said they cannot scale down passengers per bus, but were ready to ensure no mask, no boarding. John Tete is the first trustee of the GPRTU.
We do not make our mind of reducing, because when it happens like that, the impact of death sometimes that we occurred in the way of reducing passengers in the car, it have affected us, and we don't want to go back or visit that scenario again. As it's rising up, we are not praying it should go up again, but rather we are praying that we'll observe the protocols so that it will be our own good, so that our business will go on, so that all passengers will enjoy our services.
And before we go, the Governing Council of the University of Ghana has appointed the Pro Vice Chancellor in charge of academic and student affairs at the University of Ghana, Professor Nana Aba Apia Amfo, as acting Vice Chancellor effective August 1, 2021. The decision by the newly constituted Governing Council, chaired by former Chief of Staff Sophia Akufo, was made public in a statement yesterday. The 49-year-old academic becomes the youngest to serve in this capacity, and also the first female to occupy the highest position at Ghana's premier university. If she is confirmed, she takes over from Professor Ebenezer Odro-Usu, whose term of office ends the Saturday, July 31. The newly appointed acting Vice Chancellor is a professor of linguistics and was appointed Pro Vice Chancellor Academic and Student Affairs on November 1, 2019. If confirmed, Professor Nana Aba Apia Amfo will become the third after Professor J. Nana Opoku Ajiman, Professor Mrs. Rita Akosia Dixon as the first women to occupy the prestigious positions at the University of Cape Coast and the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, respectively. And that'll be it for this morning's edition. As always, do log on to my xyzonline.com for more. Good morning.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Ifo kra na menyisika. Edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia. Edia tre medjuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre. Miye busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yamamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ya wonhyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekuokuo abosia, susu account, enidaso wɔ hɔ savings account, mebada chain savings account, ene de akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na wɔn nso wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka owner.
Suhum Rural Bank entime pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
Welcome to the Royal Dazzle Event Center. With a lush and well-maintained lawn and garden, you are assured of the best serene and comfortable atmosphere to organize all your family and social events. Live the royal moments here with friends and family. The hosting capacity of 600 to 800 people makes Royal Dazzle the most versatile of places to host weddings, parties, funerals, conferences, concerts, and many more. Create your memories with us. Call us for inquiries on 055-814-8585 or 024-620-2144, or pass by and speak to any of our friendly staff. Locate us at My John, close to Zoom Lion headquarters. Royal Dazzle Event Center, creating memories. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For our Kwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance, growing with you.
Ifo kra na menyisika. Edia ye mefui.
Ehin fa na menya bosia. Edia tre medjuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre. Miye busia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yamamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ya wonhyehyɛ ahodoɔ bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekuokuo abosia, susu account, enidaso wɔ hɔ savings account, mebada chain savings account, ene de akeka ho. Suhum Rural Bank was 034229186. Na wɔn nso wetumi aka sɛ
Suhum Rural Bank ama ene mayeka owner.
Suhum Rural Bank entime pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank, growing our heritage.
So a lot of WhatsApp messages have come through. Now, before I start with the social segment today, I'll just read about one or two of them, and then, as always, Eric will do the honors with the others. Now, it says that, so Ghana's public debt stock has reached 332.4 billion Ghana cedis, and they have got nothing to show for it. Yetisikaso Mponye. In fact, history will not say good things about Dr. Baumia and his boss, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Now, the second one is also coming from Bosheba. I'll say, please, Ghanaians, coronavirus is still in existence, so let's all follow the safety protocols and also have faith and support the president. And then we will talk about coronavirus and then the testing, and some of the discrepancies that are coming up. Quickly, I'll read through one more message. Now, I'll say, did I hear President Nana saying Ghana is becoming the fastest growing economy in Africa, or for where? He should give us a break and show us what he has done with huge borrowings left, right, and center. As I indicated, Eric, when he comes back, will read the rest of the messages. But do not forget that every time you send a comment on our social media handles, you hashtag XYZ Morning Update. Coronavirus and I started testing. Now, whilst the testing was ongoing, a number of people came out saying that Omo Ebia, Omo Koyewo Nuguchi for the first time, now about negative. Or call another health center Koya, now about positive, and I said vice versa. We even heard about the MPs also in Parliament. Also, Nuguchi tested them, and they were positive. When they sought second opinion in a different health facility, it came out negative. A lot also have been happening at the Ghana airport. Now, I'm saying, I don't know exactly when the video came out, but I'll show it to you in a short while. And lady being so efi UK aba Ghana. Also a COVID test. So why a COVID test no ewa abroche? She was negative and obaye. Obedru airport. I almost say she's positive. I'm not na baby. Now she has her own test kits as government workers in the UK. And on wakasa yeni de and or the air train. Into the Yensha video no when we come back. You know before from so on also air complaining sabe kasa. Na ye via ni Dr. Anna Banso actually and come into the men ko baby actually video.
Good afternoon, Ghana or good afternoon all. I just came from, I traveled from outside and I got in yesterday around 11 something after a transit which was very stressful. And then I got here, instead of everything to go smoothly for me to get home, this is what happened. When you're coming down, you're supposed to be doing a 72-hour test, or what they call the 3 days test, to prove that within the 72 hours you are COVID-free, which I did that, and then the 3 days ended last night when I got here. So that means I was in the clear for the 72 hours. Apart from that, I have had 2 COVID vaccines from where I came from. And then my certificate proves that I'm negative. And then I got to Ghana, and then they did their test there. I was with my 6-year-old daughter. We all did the test in the UK negative, and then we got here. She came through negative, and then I came through positive. That I don't get, and I do not understand, because I had my 72-hour COVID test. Anyway, I came down here, and then because of that, I was supposed to go to self-isolation, a hotel called M Plaza. Only God knows Nipa or benefit from them M Plaza hotel from this fake thing that is going on. Now, luckily for me, unfortunately, I travel with one of these that is being given to us in the UK. It's being used by teachers, nurses, school children, university students. You do a test with this twice in a week to prove that you are COVID-free, and then you can go to school, or you can go and teach, or you can go and work. This is what we use. It's called lateral flow test. These are the kits. This is the cassette that is in that you do your test with. This is the one that you take your swab with. This is where you dump your waste, and this is the one that you squeeze everything in and just do your test after. So I have done one. I'm leaving it on the side, but I'm coming to do another one, and then let's see what is happening. Because they have told me even if I do this, they are not going to accept it. They still want me to pay 3 days or 3 nights, 500 Ghana and more for 3 nights in this bloody hotel until they ask other people to come on Sunday or Saturday to come and do another test. What is the proof that after that test, they won't tell me that I'm positive? Because they are faking the whole thing just to get numbers up, to get money from whatever country God knows. Now I'm coming to do this test again. Now the one that I did already is here. I'm going to put that on the side. I'm going to get a new cassette. This is it. There's nothing on it. As you can see, there's nothing on it. I'm going to place it on here. One of the liquids that goes in it. Exactly how they do it in the airport. This is the liquid. I don't know what computer they use. This is the liquid that I'm going to squeeze in. It's here. This is my whatever that I'm going to take the swab with. So it's here. This is what I'm going to squeeze the swab into it. I'm going to put it here. Now there's nothing in it, as you can see. I'm going to put it here. Then I'll take my swab. That's the waste. Now this is it. Now I've bent the end a bit, so in order for anyone not to say, oh nah, I didn't cry chiano, this is, I'm going to throw it away and get a new one. This is it. Now that's a fresh one, straight. Now I'm going to put that into my nose or my throat first and into my nose, as they do it exactly. I'm not going to be looking at the camera because I don't want anyone to see my throat. So this is how it goes. You see how stressful this thing is, and when they finish, they give you nonsense results. Now I'm going to put it in my nose. Now, this is the water. I'm squeezing it here. It's gone in there. So I'm going to dip my swab in there and then keep moving it about until everything is gone in there. And this is exactly how you see them doing it at the airport. I'm going to break the thing, try to break it. It's not happening anyway, so. Okay, I'm going to press it there. And then I leave it on the junk thingy. Okay, now I'm going to press it into the cassette. Like I showed you before, there's nothing on there. Now I've pressed or I've squeezed my liquid in there. So now I have to wait and then give it like 30 minutes and see what is going to happen. I would love to wait with you, but okay, in order for anybody to see I've gone to fake anything, let me just sit here watching this thing. Let me actually turn the camera for you to see what
video ni what. But in the end of it, the test result was negative. Test kits you will see and you will see according to pregnancy test kits and he said at that C is why it means that it's negative, at that T is why it's void. But if it's both on the C and the T, then it means that you are positive. And a lady need a na a negative. Yene obi fufo so beka sa kweku dan ko no so if you are manone eba Ghana, on so bedru airport no, or experience the same or similar situation. And to Minini Bekasa, now I share with us his experience. Here we are, near Dr. Anna Banso, Ajichin Komo. Hello, Kweku, good morning.
Good morning.
Me Pachano Pe Umpomo to saying.
Nyamia do me hwe.
Yeda nyamia se. Mr. Wow. Na ufri hifana eba Ghana.
If US never Ghana.
Okay. Now bedru airport, and what was the experience like?
You see people playing. I mean,
Pachana wakasa wabon into to mama why?
You see people playing. Go through a line. And so we airport honum. Na udu baby ne ye de bibi say takrawe ye de ashaw him say for sample ni tested for COVID no. Inti ubefi baby e fa ye omo fa sample no ba bedu baby a beje results no na edi be 2 hours 2-3 hours. Inti ugina honum a ni abaka kire say mo twen Unya ti se mon twen na che se omo se omo pa che se results ni negative no positive no nti ekobasa na no omo achim arrested for COVID no omo de mako hotels special hotels are omo nka so omo selected for COVID for na omo claim is omo positive no omo mako tena ho that hotels meje $500 Ghana cedis. Almost soldier for the police for SWAT team members who are moving. Okay, say we need police and as a soldier, almost police ni soldier no more. No more shall confirm that we are. So any the crime, no case of paying and the price here, my uncle.
And see, no, you know. Outside, one can say, test no outside, or buy and ofi hotel.
Because you test no outside, man. You could you know how you say Jenny Lab. Within a couple of days, no results show negative. Until then, now more year airport where the same person was tested within 72 hours negative. They would do airport where positive or PFE airport where negative.
Omo test no airports no or test results omo the trail.
Trail paper so near the digital. Na say a test case no use say if anything antigen rapid test case no use. Sanya ni omo akono. Omo nya ni sanya oni akro mo fa sample no wo ho no. Onu so be hu di omo ye no. Ni nyina hu e na say am person akro na test COVID. They should just give options. That these are the hotels and these are the rates. What you are here. Name for won't you be in Falling Cotton baby say, oh, you never been to over. Say, are buying or born in Crawford by.
But did you witness other people are not almost ancient Daniska or Muhunti, you're almost a call pantine hospital honum na yes dormitory baby.
Almost almost policy they say we are Ghanaian, who could a Ghanaian passport near the Okopan time. Now say who could a foreign passport near the Wako some of these who employed any I don't know who else is on the list. Yeah, you could have foreign passport near the Wako employed now within the near Joe Dako 500 Ghana cedis.
Okay, and see after what I'm interested in right now is that after most stay hotel hall for how many days? 3 days, no?
3 days.
Most stay hall for 3 days. They did another test and no approving negative.
I'm saying the woman is almost said in Crawford or Mobile. I was seeing him say, nah, yeah, Joe Musika say. The thing runs right from scheduling the test to getting out of the airport. So the chain is very long. I think something must be done to take this thing down. And yeah, Papa no.
Yo.
Or my in our mind. Ushima, will be an answer. Or will be an answer. Classmates, people, baby, or what they say.
Yeah, that's no pain. So thank you for sharing your story with us. Now, Mianka Sakura, personally, I know someone very close, and also so echo a COVID test and some time back. First, na positive, or call a different hospital, within the same time frame, not even 72 hours. Like I say, the immune system are fighting virus, or the same a different hospital within 24 hours, it came out negative. This is a major concern because we have heard the government is allocating funds to institutions to produce the vaccines. Now, how can we move from testing that has a lot of inconsistencies to vaccination? How are we going to be confident enough? Say, we Ghana. It is worthy. Now, antivirals always comes with some deficiencies or whatnot because it happens. They have to test and whatnot. But if the testing itself for the COVID is not, the test results are not competent enough, then how are we going to be confident to take the jabs when it comes? And no problem, But anyways, minute Dr. Anavan so ever to train komo. Now watch and never be because we're a serious issue, partner. Hello, doctor. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Dr. Anavan, can you hear me?
Yes, please. I can hear you.
Okay. Thank you for talking to us this morning. I wish we would switch the conversation to the local language. Would that be okay for you?
I'll do my best.
Thank you. So this morning we are discussing the COVID test where some people, when you go for the test, is negative here. Another time you go is positive. And then there have been instances at the airport. And also, test is positive, but no is negative. And I say within 72 hours, negative. What is causing this? Edena, Edisa, and Eba.
Thank you very much for having me, and good morning to you on Cherry Business. I think laboratories are laboratories. There can be an error in laboratory. And then I think that what we are hearing about the happening at the airport with regards to COVID-19 testing, yes, Ghana Health Service has set some team to really investigate into it. This is because it is not the first time. I think about 3 months ago, we had similar complaints from travelers.
Hello, Dr. Amba, could you kindly reposition yourself for me because your line is breaking up?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, keep talking, please.
Okay, right. I'm saying that 4 months ago, a similar thing happened to one gentleman. It came to light that he was negative. And the Ghana government testing team at the airport said he was positive. He went on social media and the rest. We tried to contact him and then the rest. It appeared that there was some fishy deal in it. We never heard of the investigation bodies in Ghana, including Ghana Health Service, approached this man to see how they could best authenticate who was right. This is another lady who has come to Ghana with the daughter. With the daughter from the same house, in the same flight, they came and dropped. The woman has taken the jabs, the girl hasn't taken the jabs. The woman is positive. Then the daughter is negative. Then, or say, already, or the sample kits are back. Or you see some sample kits, we're not in the room with her. But it shows a frustration about the positive test he has got. It clearly shows did it happen at airport? No. Either say a false positive test, no, which is acceptable in laboratories. But the test kit, no, in such a way that either you get a positive test, a negative test, or a void test, depending on whether CD is positive. And that's seeing one air positive, and that's seeing one air positive. In that manner, you know which one the person is. If it is void, it means you have to repeat the test with another test kit to show, because the test kit may be wrong. But it can never give you that it's positive. Then after that, within less than 24 hours, the person tests herself and she's negative on 2 test kits. The suspicion a woman of what they say, perhaps there is a deal, which to some of us is a genuine suspicion, that perhaps there's a deal between the hotel they are being quarantined and the testing company at the airport to make sure people get to be tested positive. Then they send them there, they pay a lot of money to them, and perhaps they do what they want. But it can't be that the woman is negative in the UK, gets to Ghana, is positive at the airport, then he gets to the hotel, hide herself, do the test herself, and she's negative. We have to compare these 2 test kits. Food and Drug Board must quickly move into this. I think the woman should get people to go quickly to the Food and Drug Board, go to Ghana Health Service before it is too late. Go and come and take her sample and test it. Let's see who is wrong. If it is that the airport people were wrong, then we need to restructure the airport. We need to relook at it. After all, we already have problems with this airport team.
Yeah.
That is what some of us think should be done right now.
Okay.
It can never be that you are positive in right now, and in 1 hour's time, you are negative.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Anaba, for talking to us this morning. We're truly grateful for always availing yourself to us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Because I don't have a lot of time, I'll wrap it up here. But don't forget, the show is always brought to you by X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural, no artificial additives. And also, you can follow the show on our social media handles. It's TVXYZ Ghana. And then you type in Morning Update. It will always come up. When you send us a comment, don't forget to hashtag XYZ Morning Updates. My name is Nana Abina Sewa. Stay tuned. Eric is on standby.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always free, fresh, natural, X, mineral, water.
Still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many Accra.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. AutoChecks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority.
AutoChecks.
Masa, tam Maria, I'm kind of coffee. I am no more budget bonnet. Have a beer, you can be right. HD logo the bottom. Wait you say HD local channels na mo and so pictures near clear. They are 5 times better. As other channels could be sure. So what I mention someone tell me why. Oh, what the pictures. What a picture! What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now electoral agent PR natural local channels now HD the here so better star 879 hash numbers from Kubo box and now the advert AD channels now.
Get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bustle Feely promo. Promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
Thanks for saying this is TV XYZ, and it's now time for discussion of some topical issues. My guests are seated, very young men, and they are very vocal and are doing a lot of work to at least raise the position of their party from where it is now to influence a lot of votes ahead of the 2024 elections. That's how I see the advocacy role they are playing. Kweku Kwateng is a member of the, Kwesi Kwateng is a member of the NPP's National Communications team, seated in the middle. Nice gentleman, very energetic. And Eric Edem Agbana is also the National Youth Organizer of the NDC. The two of them have been meeting on several platforms. And today they are here. Deputy National Organizer, Edem Agbana.
National Youth Organizer.
Deputy National Youth Organizer. I'm a bit confused this morning. I want to give you a big post. Edem, you are welcome.
Thank you very much.
I know you too well for me to say you are the Deputy National Organizer. Edem, how is it? This is the first time I'm engaging you here, isn't it?
Yes, in the studio, but prior to the 2020
I've seen
elections.
You before that, and I've seen you on XYZ Tonight on a conversation earlier. Kweku, Kwesi, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
I mean, just for clarity, last week you introduced me as a member of the NDC's National Communications team. After I was reviewing my video, a lot of people called I should make that correction. I'm a member of the...
I thought you have crossed capital.
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet, meaning it will happen.
No. For something bound to happen, nobody controls the future. But so far as I'm concerned, I'm a member of the MPP National. A full member of the NPP
Kwesi Kwateng is a member of the NPP's National Communications team. And Edem Agbana is also the Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Edem, yesterday, Legon also tried to follow those who have set the record. The first female vice chancellor to be, if she is promoted further beyond acting. How did it come to you? Did you expect her 46 years to become the woman leading such a high institution?
Well, good morning to you and to my brother Kwesi, and also to our viewers. I know Professor Nanaba Apia Amfo from a very close range. We have worked together when I was at the University of Ghana. I was expecting that any of the people who were nominated or who expressed interest in becoming Vice Chancellor, all of them were qualified for that position. And quite surprisingly, this is the first time that we saw so many young people, relatively young people in the list. The current Dean of Students, Professor Bokpin, is equally very young. He was also interested. And many other lecturers or professors who are all qualified. But when the position was given to her, I wasn't surprised. But for me, I can only say that the university should do the right thing by ensuring that within the shortest possible time, we have a substantive Vice Chancellor. I do not want to believe that COVID is the reason why we could not get the various provosts for us to properly elect a substantive vice chancellor. She deserves it. If she has the opportunity to continue, that is fine. But I made a post on Facebook and on Twitter this morning, just quickly. The top 4 management positions in the University of Ghana now are all females, and it's very instructive. The chancellor of the university, Mrs. Mrs. Chene Hesse,
Sophia is the chairman of the
governing council. So Sophia, chairperson of the governing council, female. The registrar, my very good friend, Mercy Hazelashia, also female. We have a provost that is female, director of academics, female. We have we also have the director of communications or corporate affairs, Mrs. Stella Amwa.
She has always been there.
She has always been there, a very good friend of mine as well. So it appears as though the University of Ghana management structure as we have it now
has been taken over by women.
By women. It's a good thing. Let's encourage them to ensure that they position the university as a world-class university as we want it to be. So congratulations to her.
Okay, Kwesi, did it come to you as a surprise or you knew it's coming?
Okay, very well, and good morning to you all and to your viewers. Let me take the opportunity to wish my good friend Richie. He's kindly watching. Happy birthday. I understand today is his birthday. So
Richie, we shall come to your end after the show.
Sure.
We are starting very early. Happy birthday. We are doing this on his behalf as a corporate body to wish you well.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm grateful. With Professor's appointment, I am not an alumni of University of Ghana, but I think I've been following what is going on for some time now. I have friends in the university, and for me, let me first of all even take the opportunity to congratulate her in the first place. And this is remarkable and quite significant because if you look at the past 5-10 years, we've had women in that high-level positions. If you recall, our own Professor Gina Nopukwajiman from the University of Cape Coast, and recently the professor in KNUST, and I think she also happens to be a female, and this one too a female. I think it's significant that as a country we are looking at situations of gender equality, and then looking at competence irrespective of one's gender, one's race, one's color, and I mean largely, if you bring out this conversation, it has a broader spectrum, but for me, it's a good thing. It's a win-win for all of us. Just that we expect a lot from her, because I'm not sure anybody voted for her based on her gender necessarily. It goes beyond gender. It's about the person's competence and what she brings on board. And if you look at University of Ghana, especially with regards to their accommodation issues and other things, and not only University of Ghana, other public universities, we have to really do something about it. And me, I've always gone for the public-private partnership, where you bring in private investors, they build, operate and transfer. So these are all some of the things that we'll be looking at. And I'm sure probably in the long way, COVID has taught us something, that we shouldn't reduce education to, say, the classroom setting. There should be programs for researches, programs where you do not necessarily have to come to the classroom, online programs and other things, so that largely, well, in the long term, we should be able to reduce some of these challenges that are confronted in the university.
It's instructive to go on that tangent, but I believe that at this stage, some will say it is not appropriate to experiment. You remember that when the COVID struck us and schools had to stay at home, the conversation was about enhancing online learning. But the reality is that the telcos have not been very responsible enough. You go to places within Accra, you go to many regional capitals, maybe 100-meter radius from one of the prestigious facilities in these enclaves may have good connectivity. Beyond that, very, very poor internet connectivity. And so if you are an average person and you manage to get a tablet or a phone or a laptop for your ward, the reality is that you'll be talking about online learning, but you don't see any conscious effort by government going forward over the years to push some of these service providers to ensure that what they say is what we have.
I mean, I've seen the attempt to drag government into this. It's
No,
fine.
if you listen to me
I get it.
It is beyond prejudice. What I'm saying is that governments over the years, the issue about telcos and connectivity transcends 2017 and 2021. But they have been with us from 2G to 3G to 4G to LTE. All of these things, we talk about it, but you know the situation on the ground.
So let's be realistic and talk from that realistic point of view. The truth is that when it comes to our internet connectivity and the challenges and the issues that are bordering it, it is not something that we are going to solve it today. Of course, it's going to take time, and I understand, and I accept that invitation and embrace that invitation that it rests on government. But if you look at some of the interventions that government has brought, I mean, gradually, and I'm not saying this for the NPP government. If you look at all governments, they've really done something about it. But I just have a question for all of us. At the end of the day, is that on the same internet that we are using? And I'm even looking at the hybrid system. And the hybrid system is where you balance the available internet with the resources that, I mean, with regards to the infrastructure that you have on the university campus. So we are looking at future projections. And if you listen to me carefully, I was making future projections that in the long term, these are some of the considerations and these are some of the developments that he should be looking at. And that's why I even didn't narrow it down to the University of Ghana, but I broadened it to with a wider scope to all other universities that probably, COVID brought this innovation that we can't even learn online. Indeed, there were some students who actually took their studies online and passed. We have Ghanaian students who sit here and do online courses in Harvard, in one of the other universities, very fantastic universities abroad, and they pass. And so, yes, broadly, or at the end of the day, the conversation should be narrowed to what we should do as a state. Yes, it rests on government to rectify some of these things and cause improvements in them. We are not saying those infrastructures does not exist. They do exist. But the ball's on government to expand those infrastructure, and this is what the conversation should be geared at. And but there have to be a starting point at the end of the day.
Of course, the conversation is now moving towards electronic-based learning, and the issues have been how much investment are we committing to make sure that there is availability of what we depend on and equality in terms of access. GIFEC, for example, took a lot of initiatives. And so many years on, you would agree with me, all of you are politicians, you travel around the country, you know the frustration you face. Do you think that there is a conscious effort beyond the rhetoric towards ensuring that if that's where we are going, we are actually matching the demand for access to the availability of internet across the country?
I think that there are two key issues here, Eric, about the internet availability. Apart from availability, the second issue has to do with the cost. Now, the areas where we have access to internet, it's very expensive. Just this morning, on my way here, I was complaining to my friend that, look, it appears to me as though on daily basis, I spent not less than 30 Ghana cedis on internet, because you want to bundle a few just after reading a few things, watching a few videos, and streaming a Facebook live program and all of that. Then the MTN network or Vodafone or Airtel, Tigo, any of them, all of them, you have these challenges. People are complaining. So on daily basis, young people are complaining that the cost of internet is too high. We have to do something about it. So then the second issue is the availability. When you travel beyond Accra and many of the major cities, you'll find it extremely difficult to have access to internet. Even the normal voice call is very difficult. And I think that the service providers must expand their reach and reduce the cost. And certainly government has a role to play in this regard. And that is why when President Mahama was president, his government invested so much on expanding the internet infrastructure. The West African fiber optic network that we were building when Dr. Manibwama was Minister for Communications. Right after the phase 1, phase 2, this government hasn't done anything to improve that connectivity. I mean, all the huge investment in the community ICT centers. These projects have come to a halt. From 2017 to today, not a single community has been equipped with an ICT center. But under President Mahama, I can give you a tall list of communities that Dr. Omaniboama and his team invested heavily in this community ICT, so that when I find myself in Afipe, I find myself in Joje, where I do not have access to my personal laptop, I can walk to the community center at 5:30 and realize that I have an online class and have access to it. These are the kind of infrastructure that
I know that government has...
They haven't built a single community ICT center.
A policy or a project to extend internet to all the secondary schools, for example. Yeah. But within this period, what is government doing to enhance access or connectivity to internet?
I mean, just a quick rebuttal on what, I mean, this is not even a rebuttal, just a bite on what Edem said about the NDC government building the ICT centers. So when the ICT center, for instance, is built in my hometown, Santiago Domiaba, at the same time, he also adduced evidence that there is no internet connectivity in our areas. Where were they going to get the internet in the first place? I mean, we should desist from this petty politics. No. Adam, no, quickly. Okay. You have the opportunity to talk. At the end of the day, if you look at policies like the interoperability, where you can even switch networks and other things, these are all some of the policies to give the consumer an option to make a choice among the telcos. Yes, I admit that we need to do more. If you recall, initially, when you buy a bundle, they give you an expiry date, whether you have 10 gig, 100 gig. Recently, I recharged, I think, 300 Ghana cedis on my router. Ordinarily, they would have given you like 30 days. But this time around, I have unlimited access. So, yes, you may not see that significantly or directly because it's not tangible that you are getting A, B, or C. But at the end of the day, these are all some of the policy restructuring that has reduced costs. We are not saying that government has done everything.
But I need to correct something quickly, Eric. Just a minute. When I spoke about the non-availability of internet in the rural areas, I wasn't speaking to the mobile internet. I talk about the ICT centers. For the ICT centers, they don't use this service providers.
So why did you refer to the telcos in the first place?
That is at the personal level. So Eric, I'm saying that there was an Eastern Corridor fiber optic project. It was $38 million project funded by the government of Denmark. It was a project John Mahama and the NDC brought. That's what I'm saying, that was a process.
You couldn't finish the project, but you were building ICT centers. Okay. Who does that? How were they able to go and get the connectivity? But the ICT centers are
all connected. Right. So we built several of them, hundreds.
Let's continue the conversation. So in the studio, Eric Edem Agbana is Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Kwesi Kwarteng is also a member of the NPP's National Communications Team. In fact, today we are focusing on the economy and wrap up with a related issue, growing agitation and TUC's call for calm, especially when worker unions seem to have directed their anger at the leadership of organized labor. Yesterday, the minority was just blunt on what they think is the true state of the economy, as they put it. Edem Agbana, you were there, I guess, and you have followed the conversation.
Yes.
If you look at the front page of the Daily Graphic, for example, the Ghanaian Times carries the same. The front page of the Daily Graphic, let me share with you, is just straight to the point. It says, economy fastest growing. That's what Fitch Ratings is saying. And then if you look at the front page of the Ghanaian Times, it says, as the economy rebounds amid COVID-19, Ghana is supposed to be or growing to be the fastest growing economy in Ghana, attributed to President Nana Akufo-Addo. This is coming at a time when many people are waiting to hear the Minister of Finance, and now the NDC has also come out with some facts to back their claim that all is not well. Can you explain further?
Yes, Eric, I think that let me first congratulate the Honorable Haruna Idrisu-led Minority Caucus for a job well done yesterday. I have always believed that we ought to enrich our political discussions. We must make the conversation be based on policy. And the program that was organized yesterday, I must say that it was such a beautiful program at UPSA. And what is even, for me, the icing on the cake was the fact that we had experts, people from academia, and also we had even the Deputy Minister for Finance from the MPP government present for this discussion, this conversation. John Kuma was there. And so it tells you that as a political party, we are ready to open up conversations and speak to the facts of the economy and how well we are doing or how well we are not doing. And so that is what happened yesterday at UPS, a very beautiful program. Secondly, I have always heard President Akufo-Addo and his government, especially the Vice President, tout the economy as doing well and all of those things and all that. If the economy is good, all of us as a people, we will benefit. So it should be something that all of us should be happy about. However, this whole attempt to always give figures that does not correspond, reflect what we are feeling on the ground is not something that is encouraging. Eric, it's important to know, for our viewers to know how these rating agencies work. All the rating agencies that we have, they rely on secondary data. So it is the data that the government of Ghana submits to the World Bank, to the IMF, that they rely on to make their ratings. They don't come here and collect primary data. As a student of economic policy, I can tell you that President Akufo-Addo and his government have been notoriously, on many occasions, caught trying to manipulate these figures. On several occasions, never speculations. On several occasions, we had one of our ranking members, the Honorable Isaac Adongo, come out severally to point out the numerous ways by which government has tried to manipulate the data when it comes to our economic situation. So if all these rating agencies are relying on secondary data, even the World Bank in 2019 admitted that government had submitted some figures that were incorrect. Later, the ministry apologized and said that there was a mistake.
Challenged. Did they apologize?
They apologized. They were on two occasions. The one you're talking about was different. But the ministry had earlier accepted that they had given wrong figures to the World Bank or the IMF for their calculations. The point is that all these things about Ghana being the fastest growing economy and all of that, it does not lie with the President of the Republic to tell us. If the economy is strong and is growing, we feel it in our pocket. We feel it in how the economy is. We see how prices of goods and services are rising. We see how the debt situation is and all of that. So yesterday, what the NDC did was to present the alternative. And we gave a true picture of the economy. And you see, Eric, there are indicators. There are things that everybody uses in judging how well an economy is doing. The first one has to do with your debt sustainability. In 2012, during the presidential debates, and I will challenge your producers to look for that video, President Akufo-Addo, then candidate Akufo-Addo, told us that in any economy where the debt to GDP ratio was above 60%, that economy is not being managed well, and that economy must be deemed as failing economy. And the videos are there. 2012 presidential debate. President Akufo-Addo, then candidate Akufo-Addo, said that. In 2016, when the NDC was leaving office, our debt to GDP ratio, when you use the revised economic figures, it was about 57%. But as I speak to you today, we are doing well over 74% debt to GDP ratio. I will give you the exact figures with regards to which countries the debt, the borrowing or the debts that have been accumulated by each government. President Kufuor, from 2000 to 2008, added 4.771 billion to our public debt. And that is also because we had HIPIC. And so they cancelled many of our debts. But President Kufuor contributed 4.771 billion to our public debt. President Mills, from 2009 to 2015, contributed to 26.296 billion. President Mills, 26 billion. President Mahama, between 2013 to 2016, contributed 84.39 billion to our public debt. Cedis. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the one who told us that when they come, borrowing was a lazy man's approach to governance. They told us that borrowing, if governance was all about borrowing, Esla also even said her son
was qualified to run Ghana, because if Ghana was, managing the economy was reduced to just borrowing. Dr. Bawumia, the chairman, the head of the economic management team, told us before election 2016 that he was at Bank of Ghana. He knows that there is money in this country. There is no need to go and borrow, that they will not borrow at all. That's what they said. But in 4 to 5 years, they have added 171.222 billion to the public debt.
To the specifics, you've done about 5 minutes plus with your first response. Let me do same to...
If I can just conclude.
Okay,
so clearly, Eric, the debt situation exposes the inability of this government to manage the economy. And the figures are there, hard figures.
Okay, Kwesi, your response.
Okay, Eric, thank you for the opportunity. I think Adam has, of course, done his usual politics. And when it comes to the conversation of the economy, my understanding is that, and my expectation was that we will not play the usual politics with it. But I mean, as political animals in quote, certainly, I mean, we cannot do this conversation without the political gimmicks. And so it calls for all of us to compare. I think if you look at all whatever has been said here, I always say that context is very important. Because if you look at 2017, the economy that we inherited, economy of doomso, right? Economy, when you come to the education sector, you were not paying teachers arrears. You recruit teachers for 2 years, and you elect to pay them 3 months. Economy where you had nothing like free SHS, and all the spendings and the monetary commitments that you have to do with free SHS. An economy where in the health sector, you had no ambulances, and the functional ambulances that you had was just 55. A government comes in and procures over 300 of them. Economy where unemployment rate kept rising high. A government comes in and under 24 hours recruits over 100,000 people. And so if you have such an economy and you kept borrowing, and there was nothing significant to show for that borrowing, then anybody reasonably could advance an argument that you are over borrowing, and there was nothing that you were supposed to show the borrowing for. And that's what we call probably that a failed economy that we're talking about. And so when we talk about a failed economy, it should be put in that proper perspective. If you listen to Adam's argument has borne on borrowing, and the fact that we came in to borrow. Let us set some clarity, and it is very important. Even if you look at the borrowing, you see, there are a lot of things that influences a government to borrow, and that even influences the debt to GDP ratio that we are talking about, or the debt that the country will inherit. One of them is even inherited debts. Let me even start from the inherited debts. You see, most of the debt that we have as a government was a debt that we inherited from the NDC. If you recall, even the financial sector cleanup alone, a problem that the NDC caused, we spent over 21.6 billion Ghana cedis there, including the financial sector. If you go to the energy sector alone, we spent over 4 billion Ghana cedis. NHIS, there was an arrears of 1.2 billion. Contractors were paid over 6 billion. And I think this is significant for me to reiterate that initially, if you look at the contracts that they have signed with these contractors, it was over 11 billion Ghana cedis. So the contractors themselves, when we came into power and we decided to audit the contract, negotiated, and they themselves said that they were giving 5 billion Ghana cedis up. That's how come the government have to come in and pay a deficit of 6 billion Ghana cedis. Again, we call something that we call the existing loans, the interest that is on the existing loans. As at when we came into power, there was over 17 billion Ghana cedis on the interest on the existing loans. So, I mean, when we have these conversations, the context is very important. You do not just throw figures and make it look like a government came in and all of a sudden has borrowed and borrowed and borrowed, without referencing that most of the challenges that we are facing in our monetary and our physical issues when it comes to borrowing are challenges or problems that you cause. Again, let's come to yes, I mean, it may sound argumentative, but let's come to situations like COVID. COVID is not something that anybody prepared for. You understand? And so most of your measures that your measures that you put in place as a government are reactionary. Nobody plans for it. And so certainly you go and borrow and come and respond to some of these challenges that will come. So when it comes to the borrowing, let's just put it in a proper perspective. The perspective that you caused most of the mess. We came and we have no option than to borrow to fix some of this mess that you've created. For instance, look at the financial sector. For instance, I come there again. Those were the time that you go to bank, just even Ghana 200 cedis, you could not get. Your bank will tell you that come next week, come the following week, come the following week, and it will take you almost a month. And you are saying it is not true. If there was no problem with the banking sector, in the first place, why will you have to pump money to save the banks even in the first place? Because if you recall, Bank of Ghana came in, gave sovereign banks some monies, gave capital banks some monies, gave all the other banks some monies to more or less fix their place. But at the end of the day, all these monies couldn't be used for the right purposes. So if you are saying it is not true, what was even the essence of Bank of Ghana pumping those monies to them in the first place if there was no problem? You failed to tackle the problem. We took that bold decision to clear that problem. And so when we are talking about loans, we should look at it from that perspective.
Now let's do.
I'm ending. I'm saying that currently, if we even talk about borrowing, there are a lot of things to show for. If you look at our delivery tracker, there were over 18,000 projects that was on the delivery tracker.
That's where we are going to now. There are two things. You are suggesting that much of the debt we have today was part of what NDC created.
Yes, I mean, it's part of their mess.
Also suggesting that before NDC left office, banks were struggling to pay people.
That's true.
And then you have also suggested that so much that has been borrowed today, there is evidence that you can use to support it. Let me get Adam to respond to some of the claims you have made, and then you will come in. Adam, I'll give you 5 minutes, 8:25.
Eric, I think that when I was listening to my brother, it was both funny and all at the same time.
Go ahead, go ahead. Don't describe it.
He doesn't seem to appreciate the economic issues that we're talking about. One, how do you say that you are borrowing because the NDC left huge debts, which you are paying? And so that is why. That is why in our presentation yesterday, we addressed the issue of debt servicing. So if you are borrowing, Eric, let's do a simple mathematics for our viewers to appreciate. If you tell me that I left a debt of 100 Ghana cedis, and that is the reason why you have gone to borrow to service the debts that I have left in the various sectors, and yet if you are borrowing to service my debt and your debt is increasing, if you go borrow 200 cedis to service my 100 cedis debt, what will be the debt that will be left on the books? It should suppose 100.
Do you understand interest?
No.
Do you understand the principle of interest?
So you see.
No, do you understand the principle of interest?
I understand. You see, you don't get it. You see.
That's fine.
So you are saying that you are borrowing to service my debt. Now, when you are servicing debt, the more you service the debt, the lesser or the amount will be decreasing in terms of the interest, because you claim that it was my debts that you are servicing. That is why you are borrowing more. But I'm pointing out to you how much you have borrowed and how much we still have on our books, because if you were servicing, it should have been reducing the base, not the interest. The interest is never more than the capital. So you really don't even appreciate what debt servicing is. And I will give you the hard figures. Again, when you talk about energy sector levy, we introduced what we call ESLA, the energy sector levy. You described it as a nuisance tax and promised to cut it. As we speak today, that is what has saved even the energy sector. You came, you maintained it, and even increased it by close to 50%. So we left a solution for you. Again, when you talk about doing ambulance and all of that, I will give you the hard figures. Are you aware that at the time the NDC came into office, we had only one oil field, giving us 90,000 barrels a day of oil, 90,000 barrels. By the time John Mahama, the visionary, left office, we increased it to 3 wells. We added a 10 field and a Sankofa field. And today, as we speak, right from 2017 January, when you took over, we do 200,000 barrels of oil a day. What it means is that you had in your stock more than triple the amount of money that even comes to the NDC, that came to the NDC government. That is not even added to the amount of money that you have borrowed. So clearly, you have no excuse. And when you tell us that, what do you have to show? Now, you told us that the free SHS, which is your flagship program, is not being financed by any loans. Any loan. So all the borrowing that you are doing, what accounts for it? Again, you talk about things like ambulance. Look at the total cost of all the ambulances that we bought, the 300, and compare it
to the amount of money that we invested in health infrastructure. It's about priority. One government came, that is our government, decided that ambulances are important. That is why we established the ambulance service. Check it. The ambulance service, even as we speak, your health minister admitted that but for the NDC's infrastructure and the establishment of the ambulance service, it would not have been possible for you to afford those 300 ambulances. We believe that ambulances were important, but the first thing we needed to do was to expand healthcare, health infrastructure. Check the amount of money we spent working on the Ridge Hospital and all the district hospitals and over 1,600 CHIP compounds, and compare that to the cost of procuring 300 ambulances, and you tell me that those are the things that you use the money for, so it's an excuse for this huge amount of money that you have borrowed? It certainly cannot be. We established the ambulance service, we expanded healthcare at the basic level. Over 1,600 CHIPS compounds, including CHIPS compounds that were financed with 10% deduction of salary from our government appointees. You can check all of that. Check health infrastructure, check road infrastructure. You clearly have no records when it comes to compare. Look, education-wise, your infrastructure records, you come nowhere close to the NDC, road and other infrastructure, housing and all of that. So when you tell us that you have something to show for your over 200 billion that you have borrowed, show us. What is it? Where is it?
So
again,
I take it that you have
Eric,
done,
the last thing, the 1 minute. He also said something about COVID. Please, let us stop ridiculing the people of Ghana.
We'll move into that. So 5 minutes rebuttal to the issues he has referenced.
Okay, thank you very much once again. So if you look at all the argument that they then advance, I mean, he just make a general argument that if you look at the cumulative effects of these figures that I've mentioned, is nowhere near the borrowing. At the end of the day, he couldn't place a monetary value on the figures that I've mentioned.
Which of them? Is it ambulance or what?
I mean, if you look at, of course, I am unable to list everything, but I spoke about over 18,000 projects that we've done, and that is even with regards to the infrastructure development. There is one thing that we are even missing. If we talk about development, of course, he spoke about priorities. If we talk about development, we are looking at the soft development and the hard development. A government comes in and their priority probably is about soft development, creation of jobs. And so you look at some of their projects like planting for food and jobs. You look at certain critical interventions like 1D, 1F. You look at interventions like One Village, One Dam. You look at interventions like the ambulance system cumulatively. And the kind of people, I mean, these are some that you see as tangible development, those physical infrastructure. Others do, which looks as centers on building capacity and employing people. Those are the sort of development. And so unless Adam is able to place monetary value on all this critical policy intervention that I've itemized and say that, well, it doesn't match up to probably A amount of money that we borrowed or B amount of money that we borrowed. Again, when I spoke about the borrowing with regards to the context, I only spoke about one aspect, which is the inherited debts. And the inherited debts, I mean, he made a reference to the fact that the base, whatever. But you will recall, even if today we are to raise a bond, right, to service an existing debt, what it means is that the bond is only giving us that fiscal space. But at the end of the day, you still have that debt. And the bond will still even come with an interest. Why didn't he also factor that interest in? I mean, so these are some of the things that we are talking about. It is not as though the inherited debts did not exist. It is not as though the banking sector crisis was not caused. Adam has not even been able to debunk that argument. He spoke about the energy sector. And listen, these are the problems that were associated with the energy sector. Mm-hmm. You look at it from transmission, you look at it from the generation capacity, and you look at it from funding. If you look at the decisions that the NDC took with regards to this, what the NDC did was to increase the generation capacity. I mean, it was fantabulous. But even that one caused a problem to us. Because at the end of the day, if we look at the debt, I mean, after their own committee that they set up to review some of these deals and the IPPs that they signed, that alone brought over $7 billion of debt to us that as a country we have to cure. Until the government came in, have to renegotiate some of these IPPs, some of them have to take the bold decision of cancelling and bringing those judgment debts to us. And so you cause a problem the problem was about generation capacity, was transmission and funding. What you did, even in your attempt to solve the problem of the generation capacity, you ended up causing more problems to us. We came in, had to negotiate some of these deals. Of course, some came with judgment debts and other things, and then we were able to cure some of these problems. I mean, these are all problems that are coming with monetary commitments and monetary contributions at the end of the day. Again, I come to the issue of unemployment. You were borrowing when nurses were in the house. If you look at it, there were at least 2 or 3 year batches that were in the house. You did nothing about them. You spoke about infrastructure and you were building hospitals and other things, as though the hospitals, the chairs in the hospitals themselves can get up and be taking care of patients. I mean, so yes, your priorities may be there. You build a hospital, but if you build a hospital and because of how bad the governance is, how bad the economy is, you are unable to place nurses and doctors inside the hospitals to work, what is the priority of building those hospitals? So these are some of the things that we are talking about. Let me still come back to the ambulance system. No state, and I repeat, no serious state will at the time have 55 functional ambulances. I am not narrowing the whole argument to say 55 ambulances. I mentioned over 18,000 infrastructure projects. Why is it also not placing a monetary value on that and say that, well, the 18,000, over 18,000 plus infrastructure projects will not be up to the money that probably we've borrowed? You understand? So if you look at some of the critical policy interventions that we brought with regards to one village, one dam, with regards to one district, one factory, with regards to one district, one warehouse, these are all money.
So now let me begin the engagement. The concern is that at the time MPP took office, Ghana's total debt was around 120 billion.
That's fine.
We've crossed 320-something billion. There's a projection that we may continue to go up and up and up. The general analysis is that if we continue at this rate, the economy will crash.
You see,
there's another argument that what is the justification for borrowing when it is largely going into consumption rather than capital investment? And so John Jinapor, for example, says, Atuabo gas project, it's paying for itself. It is making savings of about $300 million annually. Now, if these have been brought to the table, are you saying that the debt we owe from 120 to 320 plus was created by the NDC?
Okay, so let me tell you what I mean. Even minus them. Let me narrow the arguments first of all to even our response on COVID. Let me tell you something. If you look at COVID, for instance, like I said, all over the world, government reactions has never been proactive. It's been reactionary. And all over the world, when a tragedy strikes, for instance, a pandemic, the response has always been to go and borrow and fix the economy. Unless NDC is able to demonstrate to us an alternative, that in times like this, you won't rely on probably going to borrow from the international community and coming to face the country. If you will recall, during 1918, when the world was struck with the pandemic, countries, the superpower countries like Germany, like the United States, and were even borrowing from the UK. And so it is not necessarily a justification to say that you, as a government, you necessarily have to borrow. But if a government and businesses are going down because of an unforeseen contingency that you never expected or you never planned for, unless the model that the NDC is able to prove to us. I'm coming to answer your last point. You raised a true argument about the borrowing to consume. You see, government is not necessarily measured only on one action. You look at the government structure from the larger perspective. If you look at the steps that this government has taken, at the end of the day, they want to, to galvanize the economy in such a way that it won't necessarily be about borrowing to consume. Because if you look at interventions, again, it still brings me back to the industrialization agenda.
So
industrialization...
I'm trying to manage time. Let me take Adam's response. So COVID is largely to blame. And of course, government has made a lot of interventions. It's talking about 18,000 projects.
No, you see, when you look at the government tracker or that performance tracker that they did, Eric, even public toilets that hitherto were projects that under NDC, we allowed assemblymen to take credit, DCs to take credit. They were so hungry for projects that they listed all of that. I am telling you that when it comes to real hard investment into every sector, the NDC did better. I will give you an example about the health. He said he mentioned ambulance. 300 ambulances. How Akumsin at the time said each cost us $133,000. When you multiply that by 300, it will give you 39.9 million USD. The Rich Hospital rehabilitation and the project that we did at Rich expansion project cost the government of Ghana 250 million USD alone.
How?
Check it. And it was never an over. There was not. You claim that. No, but you see, you are saying how. When you were making all the claims that we inflated the price of the project, you went to the extent of employing international auditors. And when they came and they audited, they threw egg on your faces because they told you that this project, the cost was not inflated. Because if the costs were inflated, you would have been prosecuting people who were in charge by now.
So
apart from that, he lied about this issue about nurses. Please, the NPP government never employed more nurses than the NDC. Under the NDC in 2012. And you see, I always say that these are facts that you can verify from the Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health. As of 2012, we had only 11,502 health workers, nurses. But by 2016, when we were leaving office, 56,000. So when you do a deduction, we added 41,418 health professionals.
That's speculative.
This is not speculative. I've given you reference that you could go and check. And the last one, I keep saying that the NPP government thinks that the people of Ghana, I really wonder how you take or what you take us for. You really do not have respect for our intelligence. Eric, in 2019, there was no COVID in Ghana. But in 2019, when you read the IMF debt sustainability analysis, they placed Ghana under high debt risk country. Was there COVID in 2019? You were already on a borrowing spree, borrowing to finance consumption. You reduce capital expenditure.
IMF never said that. IMF never said that.
Debt sustainability report.
I'm saying IMF never said that. I have debated this on Pan-Africa TV.
And I'm saying that it's not about what you have debated. I've mentioned the reference. IMF never said that. I am telling you that IMF has an annual debt sustainability analysis that they do, and they place Ghana under high debt risk country. And
when you were saying we're going to Hepec, wasn't true.
This issue about the debt sustainability, before COVID in 2020, we were already looking at Ghana having over 71% debt to GDP ratio. So where is COVID coming from as an excuse? So in fact, what COVID has done for this government is that it allowed you a free space to get a lot of grants. You got a 1 billion grant from the IMF that eased up the space. You were able to go into the Heritage Fund and other monies that President Mahama, the visionary, saved to proper channel.
You've done the number of minutes I allotted to you.
Please.
So we are wrapping up this conversation. Yesterday, John Kuma spoke, and then Minority Leader who chaired the event also spoke. We'll hear excerpts of what Harun Edrisu said, and then after a few minutes, we'll listen to John Kuma, and then we'll wrap up on this and move on to agitations at the Labour Front.
If any of you were fluent in Hausa, you simply could have said that all their flagship programs, Yamutu, whether it's $1 million per constituency as they promise, Yamutu, which will culminate, if you calculated, each MP should be getting at least 5 million at the Dr. Bawumia exchange rate and 6 million at the Nana Dankwa exchange rate, to have spent 5-6 million on each constituency, not the construction of 2K VIP toilets or a 1 dam, 1 village at 200,000. That the minority is demanding a comprehensive audit of all COVID-related expenditure in the country, including and adding on to the 21 billion that was spent prior to the elections.
I'm here to commend you for this program and for the courage to even invite us to come and listen to you. I have taken the necessary notes and I shall report accordingly to my boss, the Honorable Ken Oforiatta. But I can assure you, for all the issues that you have raised, you are going to have good answers on Thursday when the mid-year budget review is presented to the country. Very, very good news. But for the gloomy picture, just two things to remind us that today, as we speak, Ghana has hit the highest in history of our cocoa production. So the economy is on track. Another good news. No, today is not a debate, so I'm not going to debate. Just trying to repair the gloomy picture that we are doing very, very well. Look, the global ratings for literacy came out only a few days ago. Ghana has moved from 37% to 65.5%. And our regional average is 33.3%. So there's a lot of good news in the air. The economy is on track.
So that is John Kuma, the deputy.
He is very truthful.
Finance minister. And the beauty about it, and I believe that this should be the tangent where those who have the opportunity to govern this country can sit in an open debate, and the public will be left to do the judgment. He's talking about cocoa, and he's quoting some figures. And on Thursday, the finance minister will be in the House to present to us what is in the mid-year budget review. His presence there alone is good for democracy. He made an attempt, just 1 minute. Is that enough?
Yeah.
So you said it's good news, and it suggests that there's more in it.
Yeah, as soon as he says there are good news, I mean, it's an acknowledgement that as a government, we accept that the economy has not been what we all expected. And like I've always referenced this because of COVID. Because if you look at economy that we came when we inherited, inflation, for instance, was 15.8%. As of 2019, before COVID, we were able to reduce it to 7.6%. Okay. So all the indicators were favoring us until it turned down. And recently it's coming up. So
yes,
it's a good news.
1 minute on the economy. I think that it was good that John Kuma came, but we must appreciate that in the past, when we were in government and we invited them to the Senchi consensus, you recall that they refused, they decided not to be part of it, but they preferred holding their private lectures. But one thing that he said, which I'm happy the minority caucus will be responding to, has to do with the cocoa production. Eric, how many years does it take a cocoa tree to grow and start fruiting?
I will leave
About
it there.
5 years.
I will not answer that question.
To that place.
That's also not accurate. That's not accurate.
So
discuss.
It's simplistic. Eric, we can go there. Eric, we can discuss that. We can discuss as though if you plant the cocoa without doing any work on the cocoa, tomorrow the cocoa will mature in harvest. Look at such a simplistic logic.
Investment, the cocoa seedling that we
governance is a continuous process.
The free fertilizers that you started selling.
You share seed, and you expect that you share seed. The seed is planted, and by miracle. No, and by miracle, nobody takes care of the cocoa. All of a sudden, the cocoa you go and harvest. How can you do this?
In 2016, we shared seedlings. We gave them free fertilizers.
Listen very carefully. You said you inherited a worse-off economy.
Yes.
That worse-off economy planted cocoa trees. The fruit of that
fertilized freely
is what you are taking credit for.
Yes.
But you are not acknowledging the initiative.
No, you see.
It is like Tesla. It is like Ghana Gas project.
You ask the question. You ask the question.
That government has borrowed so much, but Ghana Gas is giving us some free space in terms of the import cover for, let's say, light crude oil, for example.
You are also not talking about the IPPs that is causing more debt and problem to us.
So how
balance that? Just suppose the two. I am saying that just suppose the two. I'm saying that just suppose the two.
Okay.
You are not talking about. Oh, Adam, he asked me a question. Be fair to me. You should balance that with the independent power agreements, the partisan agreements. That is causing us more problem.
Yesterday there was a joint press conference.
Cocoa. No, Eric. Let's a brief on the cocoa. Let's a brief on the cocoa.
The cocoa is being
granted.
Granted, the cocoa is being produced now.
Just 1 minute, just 1 second. Adam, you will talk. Granted that the NDC was even the one who brought the seeds. I don't have a problem with that because government is a continuous process. If today you brought a seed and you left government and somebody didn't manage it, you think it was going to mature and develop it? All right, the farmers did what?
Yesterday there was a
did Mahama go and plant the seeds?
Teacher union
gave it to the farmers.
Spoke. You remember the day before, the public sector workers spoke to us, and we got the impression that there's a lot of agitation. These aggrieved workers say they will go on demonstration on August 18 because they are not happy with the leadership of TUC. Yesterday there was a joint press conference. NAGRAT concerned teachers said, and they were very blunt, that 4% negotiated by the Labour Front, i.e. organized labour, which is part of the tripartite committee, is not enough. But TUC says, look, and I want to share what TUC has put out there. They are asking the public, particularly Ghanaian workers, to be a bit considerate because what they did was the best for this country. And according to the statement I'll be sharing with you, what they basically are saying is that, and I want to quote exactly what the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress has said. It says that Dr. Yabang said the base pay increase of 4% for 2021 and 7% for 2022 could have been worse. It goes ahead to say, and I read, we had to avoid redundancy by all means because of the negative social and economic effects of the mass redundancy we witnessed in the 1990s as part of the structural adjustment program. The TUC, which negotiated with the government as part of organized labor, was able to ensure that within the next 2 years, government shall not declare any public sector worker redundant. And they go ahead to talk about 1 million jobs and so on, basically justifying the 4%. Adam, has it come to you as a surprise, or you think TUC is just being frank and blunt to workers, agitating for a review of the 4%?
I think that there must be some principles that workers or leaders of these worker unions must be working with. It will be so insensitive to the ordinary Ghanaian worker, who President Akufo-Addo told earlier not to expect any significant increase in salaries. But you check the salary increment of ministers of state, the president himself, and this is the same president who was smuggling his wife and the wife and of his vice president into the Article 71 office holders and placing them on salaries. It's a president that is spending luxuriously, flying £15,000 an hour jet around and all of that. Tell us that because of difficulties with the economy, they cannot increase salaries of workers beyond a certain threshold. Usually what happens is that increment in salaries must be tied to inflation rate. If the inflation rate, as we have today, is 9%, and you increase workers' salary by 4%, all that you have done is that what you have done is, I will address that issue. Eric, what you have done is that you have reduced the purchasing power of the workers. If you increase their salaries below the inflation rate threshold, you have reduced the purchasing power of workers, and that is what the workers are complaining about. President Akufo-Addo and his government are so insensitive to them. When it comes to inflation, Eric, I think that Kwesi has been making this point about better than the 15% that we inherited. Please, check from 2014. Inflation has been on a downward trend. You see, what happened is that in economics, in economics you work with trend and patterns. So the inflation was on a downward trend. What it meant was that irrespective of who won the 2016 elections, inflation was going to continue. That is why on the 2nd of November 2016, go and check the economic intelligence unit.
It was better. Admit it, let's move on.
The economic intelligence unit, when they predicted the 2016 election and said that the MPP was going to win the election, they further commented on the economy that, however, due to the huge investment that President Mahama made in the oil sector, the economy will be growing beyond 8% in the coming year. Meaning that even though they predicted MPP victory, irrespective of who was managing the economy, because of the investment that we made, that is why when you are checking the drivers of the economy, check the non-oil sector. Even the inflation we are talking about, the non-food sector, it is gas and electricity at 21.34%. That is driving the inflation up. What it tells you is that it is mismanagement rather that has kept it, and it should have come a bit further down. The point must be made that what we are benefiting today, any good news about this economy is the investment.
So the question
is what you did 5 years ago.
The question was specific to the call by TUC on labor unions or the various sprinter groups to relax because they have done their best.
We cannot accept that from the union leaders. I do not want to believe that there were some engagement or compromises. I do not want to believe that because I have been a leader before. But I'm saying that looking at the circumstances, the workers have every right to agitate. And I will encourage
even if they are splinter union groups, they should rise up. Because how do you accept a mediocre 4% increment on your salary when government is not living by austerity measures? Government continues to spend large.
Okay.
The president is flying and buffing in the sky.
You
with
said
your
that earlier. We don't
money.
have much time. So, Kwesi, quick one on this, and let's wrap up on the last topic.
Eric, for me, I believe that, I mean, we can play the politics of it, but I believe that as a country, we have a problem. Forget of the government in power. To the extent that if we pretend to be paying our workers, they also pretend to be working. I mean, this statement was profoundly made by President Kufuor. Because I did an analysis with a friend who works at Parliament as a research assistant. And I mean, research assistant means that you have a master's degree. And if you look at, I think, if you look at minus tax and everything, they are getting around 1,700 cedis every month. 1,700 cedis, the smartest and the most economical and fiscal person can spend 1,000 cedis and save 700 cedis.
What are you saying?
So that's that
you are paid 1,700.
Like that's what comes to him at the end of the day. I mean,
and
minus everything.
Savings.
No, I'm just that's how. I'm saying that at the end of the day, the smartest person in this country and most economical and fiscal person can even save 700. Let's even no, we are just using for the purpose of my argument.
This commentary may rather be annoying people.
You are not allowing me. I think you are being prejudiced. No, let me land. You see, it's because you think I'm an MPP, so I'm going to defend this. I'm not going to defend this. Allow me. That's why I said that. I started that if you pretend to be paying workers, they also pretend to be working. So if I'd allow me to land, and I'm saying that I did an analysis with my friend who takes 1,700 cedis, and I'm saying that even granted that he is smart and economical, he will be able to save 700 cedis and spend 1,000 cedis. That 700 cedis a year will be 8,400 cedis. So in 4 years, that his employment is tied to that MP, he will be saving 33,600, which cannot even buy an Uber. It acknowledges that we have a problem nationally as a people, especially when it comes to our wage bill and how our salary is structured. I admit this problem did not start with President Akufo-Addo because, and for me, those are most of the contributory factors that lead us to corruption and analysis. Because at the end of the you gave him 5 minutes. You gave him 5 minutes.
I didn't give him 5 minutes.
He raised a lot of issues. Okay. But the point I'm trying to say is that if the problem is large, if you look at an economy where you have over 8 million potential taxpayers, and you have less than 1.2 million paying, it's problematic. And so when it comes to conversations like this, we may do the politics of it, whatever, but we may not admit reality. You see them trying to smuggle in and trying to incite citizenry against government, as though Article 71 holders and other things. See, I'm just landing there. The Article 71 holders, for instance, if you look at the recommendation that came, it never brought in the spouses of the presidents. And when I refer to the spouses, I'm referring to the spouses of presidents and vice presidents. It never brought them as Article 71 holders. It was part of the entitlement of the privileges of the president and the vice president.
So it happens that you are working and they are paying as part of your salary, they pay your wife too. Ridiculous.
Mrs. Lord Namahama was taking it. Mrs. Lord Namahama was taking it.
She was never paid the salary.
I'm saying that
she was never paid the salary.
Let me read text messages now. I want to read text messages. You can pass comments briefly on the LGBTQ thing. I want us to pass brief comments on the LGBTQI something. But the MPP man is suffering because it's a Japa pay my wife government has failed miserable. Joe from Kwewu sent this. Good morning. My boss, please let the gentleman know that Ghanaians are suffering and therefore we should not be defending what is indefensible. From Mystic Wonder Inside in Sawam, he says, if you bamboozle your way into political office, the reality will expose you. The inept, corrupt Akufo-Addo Bawumia-led government promised to move Ghana from taxation to industrialization, which has never seen the light of day. It's a long statement, therefore, and it says hashtag fix the country. This one from Senior Sterling Dangoli in Upper West Region. Why? It says, good morning to your cherished viewers and your management. Greetings to Mr. Kwesi Kwarteng. His communication is 100% clear and solid. This text message says, please, Mr. Eric, tell XYZ NPP, tell the NPP man that 1D1F Yamutu, planting for food Yamutu, 1D $1 million Yamutu from Senior Collins. And that's a text message you send. The earlier one says, tell the NPP man that the opportunity when he's given must not mean that he should not speak the truth. I summarized it for you. Now, down below from Bremso Apelska says, the superb analysis made by the NDC's gurus yesterday was interesting, and government must implement the recommendations as soon as possible. And it goes on and on, talk about the statistics about GDP and so on. It says, my greetings to Dr. Nana Ama Brown Kluche and Dr. Louisa Hannah Bisu. Let me do some quick ones briefly. Good morning, Eric Godwin, Tete from Takwa. I love your programs, especially Friday ones when Peter is always on the defensive and is doing the indefensible. If the ambulances are to be used for bus, is the ambulances that were used to bus cement? It's a question you sent. This one says, good morning, my name is Ishmael Amwasa from Kaswa. Sir, I make this statement a statement of truth. I have not set my eyes on any true leader in this country. Imagine that your guest talk about, is always comparing what our government did, and that is always to make us feel a nation. And you are talking about the politics of comparing issues. It's not the best, but we should speak to facts. Now, this one says, Same Boachi Asamankese, the largest opposition party, NDC, kept exhibiting a high level of incompetency, and I'm wondering why they can't even see and are being blindfolded. Currently, IMF has ranked Ghana as the best economic growing in Africa. This text message says, the poor DC in John Kuma administration was the best than Nana Akufo-Addo. From Apia Nwama from Sankore sent this text message from Abedi Kwadaso Aka Police no. So Ato Forson and his NDC people talk as if Ghanaians have never witnessed the worst form of governance under their care. I can't imagine Ghana's economy in this COVID era under NDC. Inshraba Anelka says, Ato Forson minority in parliament and the NDC party should be ashamed of themselves for organizing such a forum yesterday. I've cut it short. This one from Positive Change in Medina Accra says, at the end of March 2020, gross public debt stood at 234.9 billion cedis, and it goes on, representing 59% of rebased GDP. So my question is to Dr. Bawumia and his boss, is that what happened to those monies, or what has happened to those monies? That's a big question you are asking. 3 more before you wrap up. Good morning, Eric. The MPP man also wanted to say even internet is in heaven, and so it's good. It's not good enough for their IGP. You should go straight from Bronzy Manso Abori. The message is not too clear. Good morning, Eric. This one says to you and your panel members, Kwesi Kwarteng is a communicator extraordinaire. From Professor Asante Achim Domiabra sent this text message. The last one says, good morning, host Joseph Kingsley Anaman, wishing you all the great job you are doing. I live in Bonny Island, Nigeria. I'm so proud that you sent your text message all the way from Nigeria. The last one says, Mustafa Lowanyamanya Krobo says, the time has come for Ghanaians to realize that the super incompetent government led by Nana Akufo-Addo and the MPP, they take loans for consumption purposes without expenditure to show. My regards to Honorable Davido and Captain Joshua Akamba. So we'll be wrapping up. LGBTQI. The debate is on. We don't have much time. What is your position?
Let them start. He's their friend. Let him start.
I don't think.
No, I'm saying. I know him.
No.
But we all have a lot of gay friends. So when I say
no, okay. So if you're not ready to
the point is that the point is that I have looked at aspects of the bill being championed by 8 members of parliament, and like some of the members of parliament have said, the bill is still at the draft stage. When Parliament
so this will be the time for the necessary inputs to be made if people disagree.
And I think that all of us who may have some
what's your position on it?
Should make input
briefly. Should it go as it stands, or if there are concerns, they should look at the bill again and review it?
I think it calls for more broader consensus because at the end there's been some level of support and also opposition from cross-section of Ghanaians.
The bill at this stage can continue to receive input so that if it is in the best interest to leave it as it is, they should leave it. Well, I will go for as it is, because if that is what is going to bring a ceiling to the problems, why not? But if experts believe that there should be some input to soften the harsher aspects that they claim is about human rights, it's up to them. But my position is, whether you like it or not, a time will come when we bring a full stop to it. That is when we all say Ghana has finished this debate. My name is Eric Ahianyo. Kwesi Kwarteng is a member of the MPP's communications team. And Eric Edem Agbana is the Deputy National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on the show.
Eric, thank you. But just in 1 minute, one of my good friends won SRC Secretary at Wisconsin. She sent a text that she enjoys watching your program, so I think we should congratulate her.
Thank you very much.
Florence
Yes.
Akbeneaba.
So I'm sure you give me...
That was good.
If you can give me her number.
I'll give you the number.
Yes. I'm interested in the number.
I'm a student there.
Okay.
That's
all right, Chrissy, thank you. And to all the producers, we are grateful. Bye for now.